Men, pay close attention. There's a truth in female psychology that changes everything. Once you understand it, your presence, energy, and mindset shift the entire dynamic in dating and relationships. Women notice it immediately, even if they don't consciously admit it. This isn't a trick. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding the power you naturally hold when you operate from clarity, confidence, and emotional control. Most men make the mistake of giving away their power without realizing it. They react emotionally, chase validation, or overexplain themselves. Women respond to energy more than words. They feel your confidence, your boundaries, and your self-respect. And when you show it consistently, the dynamics of attraction change completely. Suddenly, your presence becomes magnetic. You become the standard, the reference point. Modern dating is a battlefield of attention, options, and subtle influence. A man who understands female psychology sees the patterns that others miss. He notices how energy shifts, how responses reveal desire, and how subtle cues indicate priorities. Once you grasp these principles, interactions become clearer. You stop guessing. You stop reacting blindly. You move from uncertainty to authority over your own space and choices. In this video, I'm going to break down 7 powerful ways men can harness this understanding to elevate their presence, command respect, and influence dynamics naturally. These principles are rooted in psychology, observation, and real-world behavior. They aren't tricks, they're truths. Once you see them and implement them, the way women respond to you changes. Attraction, attention, and respect become automatic. You stop competing for validation and start receiving it effortlessly. 1. Absolute confidence. Men, the first and most critical factor is absolute confidence. This is the foundation of female psychology, the energy women detect immediately, often before they even hear your words. Confidence isn't just about looks, money, or status. It's about presence, composure, and belief in your own value. When you carry this consistently, women respond instinctively. Absolute confidence is calm. It doesn't overreact to small slights or tests. If she flirts, teases, or challenges you, you stay grounded. You don't need to prove yourself. Your value is internal, and your actions reinforce it. Women are wired to detect strength and stability. When a man projects that, he automatically becomes a reference point. Another aspect is decision-making. A confident man doesn't hesitate when choosing where to go, what to say, or how to lead a conversation. Women feel the security of your choices and are drawn to it. Indecision signals uncertainty and diminishes attraction instantly. Confident men make choices deliberately, calmly, and without over-explaining themselves. Confidence also manifests in boundaries. When you know what you will accept and what you won't, it shows. You don't bend to pressure, guilt, or testing. You act according to your principles. Women respond positively because this clarity signals strength, self-respect, and reliability. Physical presence matters too. Your posture, tone, and eye contact all reinforce confidence. Stand tall, speak clearly, make direct eye contact. These subtle cues communicate authority and self-assurance without a single word. Another key element is emotional control. A confident man doesn't get rattled by a woman's mood swings, tests, or attempts at manipulation. He remains composed, responding intentionally rather than reacting impulsively. This emotional stability is magnetic. Women instinctively respect men who manage themselves under pressure. Finally, confidence is consistent. It's not situational or performative. It's a steady internal state. Women detect when a man is authentic versus when he's acting confident to impress. Genuine confidence carries weight because it signals that your value isn't contingent on external validation. When you combine calmness, decisiveness, boundaries, physical presence, and emotional control, your confidence becomes absolute. Women respond naturally. Attraction increases, attention deepens, and influence over dynamics grows. Men who master this first principle already have a huge advantage. Everything else in female psychology builds on this foundation. Without absolute confidence, tests, attention shifts, and subtle manipulations can destabilize you. With it, you remain untouchable, the one setting the pace, tone, and energy in every interaction. 2. Emotional control men. The second principle is emotional control, the power to remain calm, composed, and unshakable, regardless of a woman's behavior. Women are constantly scanning for emotional stability. If you overreact, chase, or show desperation, you lose influence instantly. Emotional control is the backbone of authority and attraction. This doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means managing your reactions so that your energy stays grounded. If she tests you with teasing, sarcasm, or indirect challenges, you respond intentionally, not impulsively. You remain measured. You don't argue unnecessarily, overexplain yourself, or try to justify behavior. Your steadiness signals strength, which women find magnetic. Another aspect is handling conflict. A woman may push boundaries to see if you'll waver. This is a subconscious test. A man with emotional control stays anchored, communicates clearly, and maintains composure. He doesn't escalate unnecessarily or allow frustration to dictate his words. This signals reliability and dominance in the social and emotional dynamic. Emotional control also applies to attention. If she flirts with others, tests your loyalty, or creates tension, you don't overreact. You maintain your presence and energy without chasing validation. Women notice the difference between men who panic over perceived threats and men who remain calm, confident, and self-assured. Your mindset matters. Emotional control comes from internal security. You don't need approval or constant affirmation to feel valuable. When you operate from this place, women feel your energy differently. They sense authority, and attraction deepens naturally. Physical cues reinforce emotional control. Relaxed posture, steady voice, and consistent eye contact all signal that you are grounded. Even subtle micro-expressions, avoiding tension in your face, breathing evenly, controlling fidgeting, communicate that you are stable and confident. Emotional control also protects your energy. In the modern dating world, women may test, withdraw, or act unpredictably. Reacting emotionally drains you and signals instability. Remaining composed maintains your presence and allows her to invest in alignment rather than testing you. Finally, emotional control amplifies confidence. A man who combines composure with self-assuredness becomes almost untouchable in his interactions. Women respond instinctively, feeling attraction, respect, and trust, because your energy signals stability and reliability. Men who master emotional control don't just influence attraction, they dictate dynamics. They create a space where their value is clear, attention is earned, and connection grows under their terms. 3. Purposeful presence. Men, the third principle is purposeful presence, the ability to command a room, a conversation, and a woman's attention without trying too hard. Women feel this immediately. It's not about dominance in a showy sense. It's about the energy you carry and the clarity of your intentions. A purposeful presence starts with self-awareness. You know who you are, what you want, and how to express it. This clarity radiates in your voice, posture, and actions. Women instinctively pick up on this energy. They sense when a man is present intentionally versus when he is distracted, insecure, or reactive. Another component is engagement. Purposeful presence isn't silence or stoicism. It's active, confident participation. You listen, respond thoughtfully, and guide interactions with composure. Your energy shapes the dynamic. You set the tone, whether it's playful, serious, or intimate, and she adapts naturally. Timing and pacing are crucial. You don't overexert yourself to gain attention. You engage fully in the moment, but remain aware of your own energy and boundaries. This creates scarcity and value because women feel your attention is deliberate, not automatic. They sense that being with you requires alignment, not entitlement. Body language reinforces presence. Open posture, steady eye contact, controlled gestures, and confident movement communicate your awareness of the space and your command of it. Subtle cues: leaning in slightly during conversation, standing grounded, modulating voice tone, amplify the effect. Purposeful presence also involves selective energy investment. You don't chase validation or over-explain yourself. Your energy is intentional. If she pulls away, you remain steady, letting her choices reveal her priorities. If she leans in, you match without losing composure. This balance signals mastery of social dynamics and emotional control. Another subtle aspect is emotional influence. Women respond to energy first, words second. Purposeful presence allows you to influence emotional tone, calm, excitement, desire, without forcing it. Your grounded energy creates attraction automatically. Finally, purposefulness amplifies all other traits: confidence, emotional control, and boundaries. When you show up intentionally, women respect your presence, feel drawn to your energy, and naturally align their responses to yours. Men who master purposeful presence don't just attract attention, they command it effortlessly. They influence dynamics, set standards, and maintain power in interactions. Women notice instinctively, and that awareness shifts attraction, respect, and investment in your favor. 4. Strategic boundaries. Men, the fourth principle is strategic boundaries, knowing exactly what you will accept, what you won't, and enforcing it consistently. This is one of the most powerful tools in female psychology. Women instinctively notice boundaries, and when a man sets them with clarity, it instantly elevates his value. Strategic boundaries are about more than saying no. They communicate self-respect, control, and emotional maturity. For example, you determine your time, energy, and availability, and you don't bend to pressure or manipulation. A woman immediately senses this security, and it makes you magnetic because your value is clearly defined. Another element is consistency. Boundaries only work if they are unwavering. Women test limits subtly: a text left unanswered, a late-night message, or a playful challenge. Your response should always reinforce your standard. Reacting inconsistently signals weakness. Consistent enforcement communicates authority. Boundaries also protect emotional investment. Men often overextend for attention, trying to secure approval or affection. A man with strategic boundaries does not chase or overexplain. He allows attraction to develop under his terms, maintaining leverage and respect. Physical and social boundaries are equally important. You control proximity, touch, and social engagement intentionally. Women notice if you allow over-familiarity or tolerate disrespect. Strategic control over these elements reinforces your presence and creates natural tension that fuels attraction. Emotional boundaries are subtle but powerful. You manage your reactions to mood swings, tests, or teasing without overreacting. Your energy remains stable, and you do not take responsibility for her fluctuations. This shows that your value is independent, which triggers respect and desire. Another key point is selective engagement. Not all requests or invitations deserve equal energy. A man who exercises judgment in where he invests attention demonstrates discernment. Women are attracted to men who prioritize themselves without being rigid or dismissive. Finally, boundaries amplify confidence and emotional control. Women feel safe, intrigued, and aligned with a man who enforces them naturally. They respect the structure he brings to interactions, and they invest effort in understanding and connecting rather than manipulating or testing him. Men who master strategic boundaries do more than protect themselves. They create an environment where attraction, respect, and alignment flourish. Women notice the difference immediately. They respond to men who operate on their own terms, who lead with clarity and composure, and who make their value unmistakably clear. 5. Silent authority. Men, the fifth principle is silent authority. The kind of presence that influences without words, commands respect without boasting, and changes dynamics without trying. Women respond to energy before they respond to language, and silent authority is the ultimate expression of that principle. Silent authority starts with internal mastery. You project confidence, composure, and self-assuredness in every interaction. You don't need to announce your value or prove yourself. Women feel it naturally. It shows in your posture, eye contact, and tone. Calm, steady, and intentional. Subtle cues communicate power far more effectively than speech. Another aspect is decisiveness. A man with silent authority doesn't waffle or overanalyze. He makes choices confidently about where to go, what to say, and how to act. This decisiveness signals competence, stability, and leadership, qualities that women are hardwired to respect and respond to. Control of energy is key. Control. You don't react impulsively to testing, teasing, or emotional fluctuations. Instead, you maintain a measured presence. Women sense when a man can hold space for himself and the interaction without being reactive. That calm control creates tension, intrigue, and attraction. Silent authority also involves subtle social influence. You can guide conversations, interactions, and environments without forcing compliance. Women naturally follow the lead of someone who exudes authority without aggression. Your presence alone shapes how people behave around you. Boundaries reinforce silent authority. You don't need to verbally assert limits repeatedly. They are clear through action, tone, and consistency. Women recognize this instinctively. A man who quietly enforces his boundaries commands more respect than one who constantly negotiates them. Another powerful aspect is patience. A man with silent authority doesn't rush outcomes or demand attention. He lets connection develop naturally, allowing women to invest on their own terms. This patience communicates self-confidence and control, which heightens attraction. Finally, silent authority amplifies all other traits: confidence, emotional control, boundaries, and presence. When combined, it creates an aura that women cannot ignore. They respond instinctively, often without fully understanding why, because energy communicates far more than words. Men who master silent authority operate from a position of power in every interaction. They don't compete for validation. They set the tone effortlessly. Women feel aligned, intrigued, and naturally responsive to a presence that is calm, confident, and commanding. 6. Selective attention men. The sixth principle is selective attention, the conscious choice of where and to whom you give your focus. Women notice this instinctively. A man who gives attention deliberately rather than automatically instantly elevates his value in her eyes. Attention is one of the most powerful forms of influence, and how you distribute it communicates priorities, boundaries, and self-respect. Selective attention starts with awareness of your own energy. You recognize when engagement is worth investing and when it isn't. You don't chase approval or validation. Instead, you respond thoughtfully, giving your focus to what aligns with your goals and values. Women sense when attention is earned rather than assumed, and that creates natural intrigue. Another aspect is consistency. Women test men's attention in subtle ways: delayed responses, teasing, or indirect challenges. A man with selective attention doesn't overreact. He maintains steady energy, responds intentionally, and doesn't let external behavior dictate his emotional state. This stability signals authority and confidence. Selective attention also applies to physical presence. You control proximity, touch, and engagement in a deliberate manner. You match her energy without overextending yourself. Women detect when a man is present on purpose rather than out of need or insecurity. That deliberate presence communicates value immediately. Social dynamics are amplified through selective attention. You notice who is worthy of your energy in group interactions, conversations, or even casual settings. Women observe not only how you interact with them, but also how you handle attention from others. Your consistent measured focus signals discernment, which increases respect and attraction. Another key element is timing. You understand that attention is most powerful when balanced with space. Overexposure diminishes intrigue. By selectively investing your energy, you maintain a sense of scarcity and significance, which women respond to instinctively. Finally, selective attention intersects with emotional control. You don't get emotionally attached to reactions or minor fluctuations. You remain grounded, letting your focus communicate standards rather than chasing validation. Women naturally calibrate their responses to men who manage attention with precision and intentionality. For men, mastering selective attention gives control over dynamics without manipulation. It allows you to set the tone, maintain authority, and attract interest naturally. Women respond instinctively to a presence that is deliberate, confident, and emotionally stable. Understanding and applying selective attention is a game changer. When combined with confidence, emotional control, and boundaries, it ensures that women respond to your energy rather than testing it. It positions you as the man who dictates pace, attention, and engagement in every interaction. Men, the seventh and final principle is magnetic frame. The unshakable mental and emotional framework you operate from that shapes every interaction. Your frame is how you see the world, how you value yourself, and how you carry your energy. Once a man masters his frame, women respond instinctively. Attraction, respect, and alignment follow naturally. A magnetic frame starts with clarity of identity. You know who you are, your standards, your goals, and your priorities. This clarity radiates in every interaction. Women can sense a man who is anchored in himself versus one who constantly adapts to please or impress. Being anchored gives you control without force. It makes your presence magnetic. Another aspect is consistency. Your frame doesn't shift with mood swings, tests, or external circumstances. Women notice when a man is emotionally and mentally steady. This stability communicates reliability, strength, and leadership, qualities that women are wired to respond to. In contrast, men who bend their frame for approval appear weak, insecure, and less attractive. Boundaries reinforce a magnetic frame. You don't negotiate your value or tolerate behavior that undermines it. Your standards are communicated subtly through action and energy, not over-explained in words. Women instinctively sense this authority and are drawn to it. Confidence and emotional control are inseparable from your frame. Your energy communicates self-respect, and that energy dictates the dynamics of every interaction. Women respond to this energy even before words are exchanged. A strong frame naturally attracts attention, admiration, and desire. Another crucial component is detachment from outcomes. A magnetic frame operates without desperation, neediness, or overinvestment. You engage fully, but your self-worth doesn't hinge on a woman's responses. This detachment signals freedom and value, two traits that are irresistibly attractive. Your frame also creates tension and intrigue. Women are drawn to men who hold their own space while interacting in alignment. This tension isn't conflict, it's subtle psychological pull. When your frame is magnetic, women naturally align their energy to yours rather than the other way around. Finally, your frame sets the rules of interaction without explicit statements. You lead through presence, boundaries, and energy. Women unconsciously calibrate to your frame, responding with attraction, respect, and alignment. This is the pinnacle of influence in modern dating. You don't need manipulation or games. Your frame communicates everything. Men who master a magnetic frame operate from a position of power in every interaction. Women notice, respect, and are drawn to it naturally. It's the culmination of confidence, emotional control, purposeful presence, boundaries, and selective attention, the ultimate expression of influence in female psychology. Men, now you have the complete framework to understand female psychology at the highest level. Absolute confidence, emotional control, purposeful presence, strategic boundaries, silent authority, selective attention, and a magnetic frame. These 7 principles are your blueprint for influence, attraction, and respect in modern dating. This knowledge is not about manipulation or deception. It's about awareness and mastery of your own energy. Women respond first to how you carry yourself, how you manage attention, and how you set boundaries. Once you operate from this place of clarity and consistency, interactions shift naturally. Attraction becomes instinctive, respect becomes automatic, and your presence dictates the dynamics. Each principle builds on the next. Confidence fuels emotional control. Boundaries reinforce silent authority. Selective attention strengthens your frame. Together, they create a presence that is magnetic, unshakable, and impossible to ignore. Women notice this immediately, often before they consciously realize it. Your energy sets the tone, and the world, including every interaction with women, responds to it. For men, applying these principles means you no longer give away your power unconsciously. You stop chasing validation, overreacting to tests, or compromising your value. Instead, you lead every interaction with calm, authority, and clarity. You become the man who dictates pace, energy, and standards, and women naturally align to that presence. The modern dating world is fast, complex, and full of distractions. Men who understand female psychology and implement these 7 principles gain a profound advantage. They protect their energy, elevate their status, and attract women who respect, value, and respond to their presence. Remember, mastery of self is mastery of attraction. Your energy, confidence, and frame are the tools women cannot ignore. Operate consistently, stay grounded, and you'll notice the shift immediately. Once men know these truths and embody them, women respond differently. They respect, desire, and invest in the connection on your terms. This is not theory. It's the reality of female psychology and human behavior in modern dating. This is your blueprint. Understand, embody, and observe. Women respond to energy. Men command influence through presence. Master these, and the dynamics of attraction are forever in your favor.